You can have talents, you can have vision, you can even have money. But if your team cannot and does not perform, your business will never scale. Performance isn't just a KPI. It's really the heartbeat of your company. It's the heartbeat of your culture. You would have had several times that everything rises and falls on the ability of your team to perform and deliver value. And it is the truth. The reality is that a mediocre team with an extraordinary vision or strategy will underperform an excellent team with a mediocre strategy anytime, any day. My name is Deji Adebusoye. I'm a partner at Sayal Capital and I'm also the author of Scaling for Success, Empowering African SMEs. Why does performance matter in any organization? For several years at L&Z, we always heard one excuse after another on why sales was not going to happen. One of the funny excuses we used to hear a lot was during the cold seasons. And if you're familiar with the sector, you know that people do not take yogurts, cold drinks as much during the cold season. So one of the excuses you hear is, it's the cold season, that's why sales is not moving. And the challenge is always, when we were forecasting sales for the year, we already factored in the fact that there was going to be a slow season, which is the cold one. And so we had slowed down sales already in that season. So it never made sense coming back to make those excuses that it's because of the season that we are not selling. The reality is that until you have an excellent team that is able to execute extraordinarily well, you will always have to battle with one excuse or the other. Performance is the foundation of execution. Without it, the strategy just remains a theory, just remains another thing to hang on the frame of your wall and everybody recites it every day, but it actually has no value to your company. Performance helps to create clarity, helps to create accountability and momentum in the team. Everybody can rally around it, and it is very clear what is demanded, what is required of everybody in the organization. What you will see is that companies, organizations that have high-performing teams, it breeds confidence in the team, it breeds innovation, and you can always see that people celebrate and they are excited about results. So one thing to mention is that culture isn't just how we feel at work, it's how we perform when nobody's watching. So the big question here, as an entrepreneur watching this, is can you count on your team to continue to deliver and churn out exceptional work while you're not there? The reality is that many entrepreneurs blame their employees, but you just need to take a look in the mirror and ask yourself, why are people not performing? Let me correct two very bad habits that I've seen among several entrepreneurs across different countries, and this is not just something peculiar to one country. It's seen across as many countries that have looked at SMEs. The first thing is that you're not doing your employees a favor by giving them a job. I'm going to say that again. You're not doing them a favor by giving them a job. Unfortunately, because of the poor or the lack of jobs in this part of the world, many employers or entrepreneurs hang this over their employees. You see them threatening their employees, I'm going to get you fired, I'm going to fire you up. Every day you keep bellowing that down your employees, and you're wondering why you're not getting maximum output from them. I'm not sure if you've worked with animals before. If you work with animals, and I'm talking about animals now, maybe like race horses or you have dogs. When you beat those animals into submission, you can never get the maximum output from them. In fact, somebody once told me that the cows the migrant cows that move across the country in Nigeria, the quality of milk you get from those cows, it's not as good as the quality of milk of cows that are well rested and they are not put under that stress. So when you continue to hamper and threaten your employees, you need to wonder why you're not getting the best from them. The reality is that they are exchanging their time for money from you. Let us get that into our mindset, into our frame of mind. We are not, as entrepreneurs or as company owners, doing our employees a favor by giving them a job. There's a reason why it's called a company. If you could do it yourself, you would have done it yourself. But you realize you could not do it alone. That's why you brought in people and you're saying, look, do this for me and I'll exchange it, in terms of resources to you. And they're doing that. So don't hang that over their head. The second thing I want to correct is that as an entrepreneur, never expect your employees to work more than you. I'm going to create a caveat, but I'll come to that. Never expect them to work more than you. Many of us might know the serial entrepreneur called Gary Vaynerchuk. And at one of his conferences, someone asked him and said that, what can I do to make my employees display ownership or work as hard as me or work harder than me in my business? And he laughed because it was a ridiculous question. And what he told them was, it is actually quite unreasonable to expect your employees that are earning $12 an hour, whatever you're paying them, to display a level of ownership on your business or to work harder than you in that business. You own the vision. You brought the team together to execute that vision with you. Nobody should work as hard as you in that business. Now, the caveat I want to create is everyone, or maybe if not everyone, the reality is that the employees that eventually go on to grow, rise, and excel are the ones that are able to display that level of ownership. They're able to display that level of passion in the business, such that even sometimes much more than the owner of the business. That's the reality. But I want to also separate expectation from reality. The expectation from an entrepreneur that you want your employees to work more than you, it's not something you demand from them. It's something that is earned. It's something that they bring to the table. But at the minimum, you should be working twice as hard as every member of your organization. That should be an inspiration for the people in the organization to see and tell themselves that they want to go all the way. And aside many other things that we're going to talk about that you can do to create that kind of mindset, that kind of drive. The other thing I want to mention is that, let us not forget, if you think about it from a statistical point of view, in every organization you have the 5 to 10% that are like exceptional, and then you have the another maybe 5 to 10, 15% that are just below par. The majority of your organization, of your team, is going to be within the park in which they just deliver. What I've been asked to come and do is what I constantly do. I work my 9, I close at 5. I'm supposed to deliver 10 million naira or 100 million Kenyan shillings in sales. That's my target. I meet it and I move away. And the reality is that if you have an organization that 50 to 70% are either delivering or exceeding expectation, you have a stellar team that is actually delivering, and you have a stellar team that will deliver value and scale your business. So let's get down to the topic of today. How do you build a performance culture in your organization? The first thing is you need to define success very clearly. There has to be no doubt in the minds of anybody what success means in the business. Everyone would know what it looks like from afar. No matter how small the team is, no matter how large they are, you use every opportunity to ensure everyone is clear on what success means. I remember when I used to work at P&G, there's something we call every Friday where we bring everybody in the organization together and discuss the results of the month with the entire team. And people are celebrated. Those who delivered are exceptionally well are celebrated. The performance and the numbers were usually shown, and people know where the organization is at and where we are tracking towards. So we did not leave. It was not left to the end of the year when we are doing performance appraisal, but it is always clearly in the front of everyone what the goal is. And that has to be very clear. What does success mean? One, success for the organization, but for you as an individual, I'm talking from the perspective of the entrepreneur to the employee. For you as an individual, what does success mean? The employee must understand clearly what it means. If you look at Amazon, very clearly from the beginning, Amazon defined what success meant for them very clearly. Customer obsession plus long-term growth was better than short-term profits. And that permeated everything that they did as an organization. Everything from Prime to AWS was built around that idea of becoming the Earth's most customer-centric company. And the result was clear. There was clarity in everything they did. They endured criticism. There were slow profits. They made risky bets because their success metrics wasn't quarterly earnings, but it was long-term customer loyalty and dominance. And it was very clear to everyone, and everyone ran with that mindset. When success is defined very clearly, the next thing is that you must measure performance. You must measure performance. There's no way you can do it. It has to be measured. The level of frequency It's up to the organization and to the nature of your business. There are two areas I will talk about here in terms of measuring performance, and I'm sure that there are many ways in which many organizations track. But across the three different organizations that I've worked, there are two things that I usually track: the what and the how. The what in terms of what did the person deliver, your employees, what did they deliver? Did they deliver the expected result? Did they deliver what they promised to deliver? That's the what. And the how is, how did they achieve those results? And I will just expatiate a little bit on both. In terms of the what, you want everybody at the start of the year to be very clear on, like I said, what does success mean? And then at the end of the year, did they achieve or did they meet the goals that were set? It's very simple. You don't want to beat around the bush in terms of, oh yeah, you walked over the moon, and at the end of the day, result is critical. No matter how well people perform, if results are not delivered, the organization will not move forward. Deliver in terms of the set goals for the company. And how do you set goals? This is something probably you had before: SMART goals. Every organization needs to set SMART goals. SMART goals are specific, they are measurable, they are realistic, they are time bound. So you set goals that people can relate to. A good example: at the end of this year, you must close 5 accounts. Did the sales person close 5 accounts at the end of the year? The answer is a simple yes or no. Or yes, it closed 4 out of 5 accounts, so it met 80% of the target. It has to be as clear as that. On the side of the how, what you want is, there are certain values you want to replicate in your team. And the reason for you measuring the how, I know some organizations never track the how, they just look at what, let us deliver. The problem with that is it becomes difficult to replicate success. But there's a how in terms of how you've defined as how you want to collaborate as a team. What kind of values do you want to uphold as a team? You want to make sure that you're not burning bridges. This helps to balance the results that you are getting as an organization with the culture you want to build and the kind of leadership behaviors you want to ensure in your organization. The reality is, you don't want superstars who eat numbers, but then they kill the team's morale. At the same time, you don't want a great team, who never delivers results. In the next video after this, what we're going to do is we're going to focus on what you do once you measure performance. How can you instill the culture you want in your team? And it's going to focus on 3 areas: how do you reward performance, how do you empower your team, and how do you exit employees from your organization. Finally, performance isn't a department, it's the standard. Build your culture around it and watch your team transform. What is one thing you can measure this month to drive performance in your organization? I'd like you to leave a comment here on that thing you think can drive performance better in your organization. I welcome you to share this video with your team members, with friends, family that you think will benefit from it, and subscribe for more real practical insights for African entrepreneurs. Thank you very much.